Hello, everybody. My name is the Heathen Crusader, and right now we're going to look at 4 years after Sandy Hook. More guns, more shootings, less regulations. And this is by the Young Turks, obviously. And I want to stress this enough. Yes, it is a fact that we have had more shootings since Sandy Hook. Would I say there has been less regulations? Well, if you look in the state of California, they have been massively pushing for gun regulations, for more gun regulations, um, and less Second Amendment. Do I believe that we should keep restraining people of their guns, restraining people of their Second Amendment rights? No, I do not. Do I think that we need to keep the same regulations? Yes, if not less. And my reason for this is that if you outlaw something, will a criminal care for what is illegal or not? They're already a criminal. They've already done illegal things. If they're going to break into your house, do they care that a 30-round magazine is illegal or not? No. So, let's see what the Young Turks have to say.
Of 2012, the day that shook the world when a gunman entered Sandy Hook Elementary School in Newtown, Connecticut, and tragically claimed the lives of 20 children and 6 educators. Wednesday, December 12, 2016, marks the 4-year anniversary. Time has passed, but several things remain the same. Our hearts still ache, fear still abounds, and the risk of this happening again in this country remains the exact fucking same as it did on that day. Because our
Yeah, I believe the same. I believe that all the parents are still grieving. Of course, they're still grieving. I mean, their children, their children that were in kindergarten died. Their children didn't get to have a life. I mean, come on, let's be real here. They really didn't have a chance to live. And I'm not saying that in the retrospect. They didn't have the opportunity to live. They didn't have the opportunity to grow up. They didn't have the opportunity to get a car, to get their new wife or girlfriend or husband or boyfriend. They didn't have that opportunity. They didn't get to experience life to the fullest. They didn't get to die in their bed. They didn't get to die of whatever. Um, and are shootings more prevalent? Yes. Um, Mostly by a particular group. I think we all know who that is. Um, but let's continue.
Our laws on gun control have not changed. In fact, the NRA has never been in a better position.
I've been a member for a long time, and my boys are members.
On that day, the Obama administration vowed, as many administrations have in the past after a mass shooting, to fight for justice for the victims, to help make this country a safer place by enacting stricter gun control. Since that day,
If you enact stricter gun control, that just allows for criminals to have the guns and the innocent to not have guns. The innocent need guns to protect themselves. Criminals will find a way to get guns in any way possible since we had these kind of things. Okay. And if a criminal really wants to get a job done, they will find a way.
however, there have been at least 1,234 mass shootings, with at least 1,358 people killed and 4,888 wounded. According to the United Nations data, the US has had an average of 29.7 firearm homicides per 1 million people, while countries such as Switzerland have 7.7, Canada
I do believe that those numbers are actually correct, if I'm not mistaken.
have 5.1, and Germany have merely 1.9. Now, it's important to
I think those numbers are about to change, especially with what's been happening in Munich and Berlin. But I digress.
Understand the difference in population. America makes up 4.4% of the global population, but it possesses 42% of the world's civilian owned guns, and that number is growing.
And I want to stress that civilian owned guns.
Now, one of those 1,234 mass shootings occurred back in June at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, where 49 people were killed and 53 injured, the deadliest mass shooting by a single gunman in American history. And yet, the most alarming number from this instance was 4. The number of measures proposed to curb gun sales after the shooting, and all 4 of them were rejected by the Senate in another display of congressional inaction after a mass shooting. The proposal.
What are they going to do? We have the Second Amendment, the right to own firearms. Now, some people get into this debate saying, well, it's for, well-armed militias and stuff like that, as it says in the Second Amendment. But there's too many people that own guns now. There's too many people who won't give up their guns, even if you were to make it a law that they had to give up their guns, because they believe in the founding principles of this country: the right to protect yourself, the right to a just government, um, the right to a free society, where the people can make decisions freely and safely.
Voted on in June would have banned anyone on the no-fly list from purchasing a firearm and closed some background check loopholes. But of course, these proposals were rejected, just like the result of the assault weapons ban proposed in response to the Sandy Hook shooting that was rejected on April 7, 2013 by a vote of 60-40 against, with all but one Republican voting against it. And now, as we edge ever closer to a new president, the most prominent movement on gun regulation since Sandy Hook has been towards less regulation. In fact, gun sales are at an all-time high. Loaded guns are now allowed.
Gun sales are at an all-time high, but those are mostly because people are freaking out and buying more guns to protect their families.
Into national parks, and a decade-long ban that restricted passengers from taking unloaded guns in checked bags on trains was reversed. And a recent bill introduced by the
Citation needed.
Republican legislator in Washington state will, if passed, allow concealed carry weapons into stadiums.
Given the light of all the things going on around guns in the NFL, the Second Amendment was put in place for us to protect ourselves, not to put us in situations where we hurt each other.
Meanwhile, current NRA President Wayne LaPierre is proposing a federal law to require any state that issues permits for carrying concealed weapons to recognize similar permits issued by other states, and even if those states have different eligibility and.
Well, they should. If you get a license to conceal a weapon in, let's say, Oregon, okay, then you should be able to take that to New York. It should be allowed because you have the right to protect yourself in the whole country, not just in your own state.
Training requirements, and even if they have less stringent restrictions on gun ownership. So it is fair to say, yep, gun laws are moving in the right direction for the NRA, especially with our new presidential elect poised to take office. Because after all, the NRA spent $30 million this year to help elect Donald J. Trump, and $10 million more backing 6 pro-gun Senate candidates, 5 of them won, reinforcing the reality that the already bulletproof Second Amendment has never been stronger than it is right now, 4 years after Sandy Hook. Now, strides have been taken to increase awareness about recognizing signs of trouble before violence occurs. Programs such as Sandy Hook Promise, a gun violence prevention organization that was founded in 2013, have spearheaded efforts to assist in the training of students. This group played a huge part in helping to pass the mental health reform bill in the Senate earlier this month, which they see as a way to encourage people to get help before turning violent. Now, while mental illness and the stigma surrounding it in the United States is a prominent issue that rightfully has to be addressed, it's ironic that this bill was passed by the same legislators who often use mental illness as a means to distract attention away from gun control, rather than identify both.
They use mental illness to distract away from gun control? No. People with mental illnesses should not be able to own a firearm. Reason being, well, because of the person who did Sandy Hook. And that's just for the welfare of everybody. Okay, now, guns as a majority are for the welfare of the entire United States. Because if we didn't have guns, who is to say that more atrocities wouldn't happen by foreign oppressors? We wouldn't have the same kind of military that we have without civilian-owned weaponry. Now, I'm not saying that as civilians take their weapons into the military. No, I'm saying that people use their weapons to practice, becoming more accurate, becoming better marksmen, being parts of militia. Yes, there are militias here in the United States. They are not active because the militias are supposed to uprise to a unjust government. So the people take what they've learned from their own weaponry to the military, and then they can exercise their expertise there, and so on and so forth.
As prominent contributors to these regular acts of evil. Because here's the reality. Mental illness is an issue that affects many countries across the world. But the United States is unique because it offers easy access to firearms, allowing for those who are suffering from mental illness to obtain firearms and carry out those atrocities, more so than all other Western countries combined. But yet there are no mental illness promotion organizations keeping the conservatives' pockets lined, which is why progress can be made in this realm, while gun control remains unchangeable and kids remain at risk to another Sandy Hook tragedy in the future.
Alright, guys, well, there you have it, Young Turks. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. And we'll see you guys in the next video. Alright, bye.